Just share value and you'll hit 6 figures. Stay consistent, put your stuff out there, and people will be throwing credit cards at you because of your good heart. Let's not even talk about all the people coming at you and say, let's use this hack and let's try to use that viral framework to get those clients into your system. Or even just talk about the pain points and the desires and or even just talk about the guilt and the pain points and the desires of your ideal clients, and they will come to you asking for you to be their guide. If all of this worked without understanding the nuance of all of it, wouldn't every single heart-led entrepreneur who consistently shows up, overcoming their fear of being seen, being invisible to their ideal clients for so many months, ones who keep showing up with their value, with their stories, with empowering people to step up the game, even if they keep asking themselves, will there be more people who will come? Will there be more people who will be actually interested in what I have to say? If all of this generic advice worked, they would all be fully booked, or at least booked enough to build their purpose-driven, impact-driven business. If you don't know me, my name is Chubby. I'm a messaging and communication coach for any purpose-driven entrepreneur who wants to learn simply how to convert people without forcing, coercing, or pushing anyone into buying their stuff. And in today's video, you'll be hearing my take, my answer to a question: how do I distinguish between free content and the content, the service that I charge for? Which is honestly something I hear the most often. Anytime I meet someone, let's say a digital nomad here in Bali in a cafe, if I talk to people in the DMs on IG or Substack. And by the way, if you're not following me there, make sure you check out the description below for daily inspo, nudges, truth bombs as well. If you want your ego to be rattled sometimes by hearing the truth about what actually helps you build that impact-driven business, then make sure you hit me a follow. I've been running businesses for the past 4 or 5 years online, and I made a lot of mistakes just like many people, and I don't regret a lot of the mistakes that I made, but the mistake that I definitely regret making the most was thinking that if I constantly just post value, the right people will come and pay. Having thoughts all the time like, how come everybody else is converting a lot better, getting all the engagement, and I'm here providing all the value, showing up consistently, overcoming a lot of my bullshit, and people still don't buy. Or like, I'm an action taker, you don't have to tell me to do something. And I was doing the webinars, I was setting up the welcome sequences, and I was still wondering, so why aren't people buying? And all this in one of the most saturated industries ever. And I know everybody says their industry is saturated in language coaching. And what I didn't understand was this: the value your buyers are looking for has got nothing to do what you think they value, let alone what a free consumer of your content thinks value is. So you can either just keep posting for the likes and engagement, see how people love that you're sharing all that free inspiration and education, and then realizing you're actually attracting the people who are just there to consume the stuff. You can learn to understand what your buyers actually want from you, what they want to hear, so they finally see. This all makes sense. Shut up and take my money. How can I pay? I created a free 10-day self-paced challenge all around helping purpose-driven entrepreneurs to build up a messaging ecosystem beyond just putting out content that obviously hasn't been working that well. If you're watching this video, you get immediate access if you click the link in the description below. Because let's face it, this whole idea of just share value doesn't work anymore. We're all tired of the 3 tips to do this, the 5 hacks to do that, the 5 ways that I would do this. Because most of us who have at least a tiny bit of agency would already just type in our questions into ChatGPT and then get the answer in like 10 seconds. We live in what a lot of impact-driven coaches, mentors, heart-led folks don't seem to understand until they realize in an information overloaded but self-awareness deprived world. We all feel so productive going down the rabbit hole on YouTube whenever we discover something about ourselves. Like, ooh, so I have this problem. How can I learn more about it? But there's nothing wrong with that. Some people are so desperate about finding a solution to their problems that they keep confirming the fact that they have problems by consuming yet another podcast, asking at least 15 of their friends, or read like 10 books about the topic, but in a couple of years they still complain about the same problem. problems. And I honestly can't blame creators. This was a strategy that used to work like 20 years ago when you could just share a bunch of value, people would come to you, you would get leads and sales. But that time is over, and the heart-led entrepreneurs in our space who are getting consistent leads, aligned leads, committed clients, understand this one thing. Pure education in this information overloaded world is a massive disservice to those people out there who would already pay you for your services. So why do so many people still keep on sharing insights and their personal stories and expect that inspiration or education will help the right people get into their DMs? Because it's natural for coaches, mentors. Well, most of us became purpose-led entrepreneurs because we've reached some level of mastery in a couple of skills, and we built some sort of a framework that then we want to use to serve other people. So it's natural for us to talk about a lot of the topics that we believe will help someone else see that we are the authority that they get to work with. And let's zoom up a bit. You've probably consumed like podcast episodes, you've read a couple of Substack articles or watched YouTube videos, probably even about the topic that I talk about. Are you applying 100% of everything that you learned in those content pieces? Of course not. You might not even remember the video that you consumed like 5 or 10 minutes ago, let alone remember that there's a new habit for you to start implementing, for example, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, until that habit is hardwired into your identity. So why do you expect your ideal clients, who might be just a few steps away from wanting to pay you, to be different? They don't need more value on what they should learn, what they should know more, because it only creates this subconscious thought like, oh shit, yet another thing I'm still not able to do. What they need is principled, courageous, heart-led entrepreneurs who actually tell them what they need, so they see their products, their services as a solution to their problems, including here's why you're experiencing this, as simply, accurately, and as specifically as possible. Here's how I, who have gone through the transformation and or have helped others think about this problem in a more empowering way. Here are the consequences of staying where you are and not changing based on everything I've shared. If you keep defaulting to just like, I'm gonna share what I know, your ideal clients will consume your content, feel momentarily inspired, do nothing, or many times not the right way, with misaligned energy, and no longer see you as the guide because your advice didn't work in their interpretations. Where do you think they're going to go, and what type of guide they're going to buy from? The coach whose messaging answers, among other things, the 3 questions that I've just shared with you before. So here's what changed about 3 years ago when I was on the verge of having to shut down everything. I still shared free value. I still showed up consistently for my audience, no matter how many people were watching my lives, how many people participated at my workshops. To me, that's really what coming from a place of service to others, focusing on impact and not necessarily just on the metrics mean. Just use my content differently to get the right people into my ecosystem by actually speaking to the principled, committed, serious potential clients, the top 3% of my audience who actually wants the transformation and don't just say that they want it. An empowered buyer is already deep in their shit. They are currently looking for solutions. They may have even tried, they may have even invested in therapy or alternatives. What they want is an experience where staying where they are feels a lot worse than being guided by you on this new path that you're offering. If you want to see how to help them build trust with your unique method, frameworks, or anything else, I created another video a couple of months ago. You can check that out. There's a link in the description. Just want you to hardwire this thing, because a lot of what I teach as well isn't just about the words. Of course, words are important. Messaging, understanding the neuroscience of influence is super powerful for any of the heart-led coaches, mentors, or guys that I've helped in the past few years. But a lot of selling, a lot of influence comes down to energetics. The energetics of I show up with conviction in my message because I trust that the people out there are already just a few steps away from buying. So the belief I want you to hardwire into your brain is that they already want to pay you. And that's the difference between selling that makes you feel icky and selling that makes you feel empowered and come from service, because you already sell to people who want what you have. The students inside our purpose-driven messaging membership impact, who consistently get the right leads, get committed clients into their DMs, booking the calls as well when they promote those clarity calls, are the ones who don't just share value, but they also share value in a way that builds demand. So by the time they pitch, by the time they say, here's what I have and here's how much it is, there is no ick, there is no hesitation, because they've already pre-sold them on the offer. This is what massively improves my students' sales and lead generation, because they show up with conviction as we dial in their messaging through checking out what resonates and what doesn't, having a look at how to refine the type of words they are using to see which one actually speaks to the right people. How can we tighten the messaging so we attract people who are actually serious about the thing? They won't ghost them in the middle of that coaching program. It's all about planting those subconscious seeds throughout their content. And this is a long-term game that a lot of co-creators, even those who say they are heart-led, don't want to commit to, like a 90-day whole sales process where we simply talk to the right people in every piece of content saying, I hold the key to the transformation you already want. It could be using the values that they might already have, they just don't realize that they don't value that enough. Like, for example, they value curiosity, they value leadership, and speaking to the part of them that will feel a lot more aligned with this value and embodying it in that next phase of their lives. Talking about what they no longer want to experience, the pain of staying the same, constantly going around in circles and not getting the results that they so desperately want. And which is at the core of a lot of what I teach, helping people see things differently, how the winners think, how the empowered people think about the problems that they're currently having, which is something I fleshed out in a previous video as well. And this is just a fraction of what I teach, which actually gets the right people to see, without you forcing them, coercing them into a program, that they want it before you even mention the name of the program. So if you've built a following and have posted as consistently as possible in the past 6 to 9 months, and you see a lot of the right people that you know you could help, and it breaks your heart to see them like ghost you, not attend the webinars you hold, or participate in the email sequences that you set up. You get a lot of, I have to think about it, or things like, yeah, I'll get back to you when I'm ready. The value you shared is more educational, inspirational, not aspirational or persuasive. The things that make our messaging ecosystem and the frameworks that I teach so incredibly powerful and actually helping and increasing conversions. You shared content that keeps them in their comfort zone, thinking that they can figure it out on their own, or they might just have so much cognitive overload in their head, which is a psychological concept in communication I talk about all the time. You haven't built messaging into your ecosystem that tells them it's safer to change than you think, and it's safe to take the path that only I uniquely offer in the market. And if you want to see beyond the examples I just talked about here, first of all, make sure you implement some of these things into your content. Infuse these in whatever newsletter you share, sales pages you have, your website, and also the daily content that you post. And if you want to go all beyond and get some of the concepts, the principles that I teach to all my students that get them 3K clients into their DMs, 90% already sold because their content sells them on the offer. That's the value that they share. I created a free 10-day self-paced challenge that's going to walk you through a couple of these frameworks. They're going to help you understand what a buyer wants from me in my content, so you will have no difficulty distinguishing between how my free content will be converting clients consistently and what am I saying to actually bring people into my program and sell it. Click the first link in the description below. You will get immediate access, and all you need to do is just keep me updated. You can DM me inside the community about your biggest breakthroughs, what you're learning, or any question you have. I hope this was helpful, and you see now what's the difference between sharing value for a consumer, which is obviously something we all do. We all want to help other people, and sharing value in a way that builds demand. So you don't even have to sell your program because your content did the heavy lifting. Let me know what your thoughts are, anything I might have missed you want to hear me talk more about, expand on. Always here for my community, and I'll reply to every single comment. The only question that is wrong is the question you never ask. So thank you so much for watching this, and I can't wait to see you in another video.